Holy fuck, it's hot outside. Extra hot. The sun is closer than it's ever got. The sky's polluted, it's raining crud. Pandemonium throughout the hood. Every hour the planet shakes. Buildings collapse from the earthquakes. Freeways are packed, horns are blowing. Nobody really knowing where the fuck they're going. Tidal waves swallowing the shores. Coffins pushing up through your floors. It's suddenly freezing, we fall to pieces. Pray for Allah and call to Jesus. Some stay home and hold their wives. Others flip out and end their lives. Me, I climb the roof of my house, spread my arms out and sing. It's walking along my path, the city is morphed into a bloodbath. Some are looting, others shooting. The devil's in the sky and he's recruiting. Tornadoes twisting through downtown, throwing buses and trucks around. It's snowing, hailing and burning up. I rock my headphones and turn them up. Folks dying, crying, dead and crawling. Run to the church, can't fit them all in. Watch the groundscape crack in half. A bottomless pit down Gratiot Ave. Some stay home and welcome death, appreciating each additional breath. Me, I climb the roof of my house, spread my arms out and sing.
Taking it all in, wow. Taking it all in, wow. Taking it all, acid, rain, lightning, sin, earth shattering. Taking it all in, wow. Taking it all in, wow.
Boulders fucking fall from the sky. Death with no clue when or why. The sun explodes and we absorb it. Our planet spins right out of orbit. Aliens show up and eat mankind. A virus spreads with no cure to find. God has had enough of our shit. A nuclear war breaks out and that's it. To be on this planet, living your life and see it all end would be alright. You can't complain, you wouldn't die alone. You can die with loved ones and die at home. And you're not missing anything when you're gone. Plus seeing it all end and what goes on. To see this great world come to an end would be next best to seeing it begin.
They all are blowing. They
Time and space, through magic unfolded, reveal to me the methods by which the my life finally set against me.
Long before mankind existed, the Old Ones trod upon the earth. They worshipped the elder gods and served them as slaves. But in time...
Crusaka sidniki lux, non da cosidniki dux, vade retro
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Deus Pater Omnipotens, qui vult omnis homines salvo spire, sit cum omnibus vobis, ecce aqua benedicta, sit nobis salus et vita, in nomine Patris et Filius Spiritus Sancti. Omnipotentis Dei misericordiam Patris carissimi, supplices exoremus, ut sanctorum omnium intercessione promotus. Ecclesia sui vocem benignos exaudiat, pro Patre nostro. Pater
You'll notice that I'm going through the beginning of existence over and over. I realize the reason to this now. Someone is concerned with how the cosmological model is structured. Though they realize now that they were not aware that they did not have the entire universal model understood, they still have pointed out a good method towards understanding what I have created here, with a better perception from my mortal aspect. This process of an advanced version of the scientific method applied to quantum mechanics gives me a better, more in-depth and experienced understanding, and I was in my creator aspect. Though in that state of being, I am not given the interference or distractions that come with the being in mortal form. I also was instantly infused with everything I needed to understand and know in order to create the universe. You see, there is a type of Trinity aspect to me. There is the creator being, a spiritual type form I took when my spirit was wandering outside of my body, as they sometimes do during comatose scenarios, he who was. Then there is the current me, who is writing this now, he who is. Then there is the influence of me from a point further in the future that is guiding my words and actions at times. I seem to have made my presence and thus truth to this quite easy to notice. If you know what you're looking for, he who has yet to be. If you watch some of my earlier videos, you'll notice occasionally my future self will leave a comment on a topic that usually hasn't occurred yet. However, the path of wisdom is not always the right path, and the right path is not always the best path for the benefit of all. That analogy has nothing to do with anything I've discussed yet. Just an example I think I am trying to use to show those listening some facet of evidence to what I'm saying. Now, do not get me wrong. It was my choice to handle these matters in a certain way. Who stole this scenario so they could try to become their own self-made gods. They are not anyone that I would have to search for to find. They are a mix of hackers, corporate-level employees, and middlemen relaying information from these individuals who have used and manipulated the system into allowing them to have access to our digital information and private data stored and worked on from our devices. People, usually right here in the country, not in the same city oftentimes, who decided to pry into the claims I've made in order to try and find some proof to my claims, being some carefully orchestrated illusion or deception, as if I'm some magician found at birthday parties and bar mitzvahs. Okay, scratch that last analogy, but you get the principle of what I'm saying. Many of these personal conflicts I have led some of you towards has been targeting those individuals without openly mentioning it. Don't overestimate them though. They are cowards who hide in shadows and steal from the dead or those unaware or when others are in their weakest moments. They are not adversaries worthy of any true warrior's skills as the ones who have been causing this chaos of anarchy across the world that you all have been chasing after, and I have been pinned to look like the fall guy for. These people who insist as if they know for a fact, as though they have witnessed some undeniable proof that Jesus or God doesn't exist, or some Mandela effect-like scenario that you know is not true. But they keep insisting things are as they say without explaining how they know. Some of these individuals are possessed or influenced by those that you seek, but some are the ones responsible themselves and were caught and cursed or disabled somehow from achieving any further benefits from their plans. Let me give you an example here. This YouTube channel itself has 289 subscribers. Out of those 289 viewers, only about 89 of them are viewers who are actually genuine viewers. The other 200 all have their own agenda and use the wisdom I have left here to further their own self-benefiting desires while also plotting against me with propaganda and the misinformation of the details of who I am and how I came to be he who is called I am, Joachim. Notice how conveniently your entitled role can be easily set against me here in this, just to point out the subtle threats I am trying to explain here and the lies that have been promoted that fit their storyline, but not the story unfolding unless those who learn of these things decide to take action based on the information they're being told and not trying to check the facts before pitting themselves against me. They all have a different story to specific demons that can be matched to their personality traits, habits, and the things they say that were spoken by the ones you're looking for. As I had said to the other angels, they have this uncontrollable need to flaunt their evil deeds for all to see, narcissism basically. But enough on that subject, for the air is not clear of danger just yet. So on with the introspective view. I'm using this new method to evaluate developing paradox events or cosmological events that may have the potential to destroy what I've made here. Not caused by any naturally occurring events, but because of other life forms' interference with the cosmological model. Don't worry. I'm not generally upset by this. It was in fact an expected outcome to occur and most likely will continue to occur every once in a while. It's when I explain these things and they understand what I'm saying and ignore my warnings, despite their realizing the broad effects that potentially threaten everyone and everything yet continue. Their agenda out of arrogance and pride. That is when I become irritated until I am forced to bring devastating events upon them in order to spare the destruction of all I have labored to create. From their decisions to choose pride over common sense. Something I realized is that when I created the universe I knew these paradoxes would occur and had planned to place myself throughout creation in many different forms to handle them as they developed, but never got around to finally tuning that aspect as it was not time for me to do so, and I knew that. Remember, the creator being aspect was described as he who was, is, and has yet to be as one being. If you don't quite understand this, then simply rewind and listen to what I've said here again. All that is needed to know to understand all this is here somewhere. You just need to listen. Then at one point, I finally just succumbed to the fact that I would have to return to my body, where it all began from, and learn about these paradoxes before I would be capable of handling them correctly. Now I have studied that aspect in depth, I can begin to form a method to face this issue with a more understanding mind. Their mathematics may be incorrect, but mine is from the source which molded the principles of this universe into formation. So I have a more keen insight into whether their mathematics make sense or if they're completely off, such as the paradox events. These events are not destroyers of existence, nor are they developing deformations within the universe that may grow like some cancer in the fabrics of space. The paradox events that they've detected through their mathematical theories are mostly naturally occurring events that support the cosmological model's continuum. In an ever-expanding universe, there are regions that they have not yet even contemplated, let alone realized they exist, because they are not aware of the full universal model. So without any trace, evidence that connects these unknown fields, such as quasar stars, for example, to these regions that are beyond the observable universe. These paradox scenarios actually create the bridge connection between them, made possible by the paradoxes applied to effect if the event theorized in their equation were to occur or first begin, forming beyond the observable universe's boundaries of known particle matter structure, in regions where the very fabrics of reality itself are fused together differently than those within our quadrant of space. Thus the paradox, when applied to these particular regions, no longer are events that are a threat to the universe, but actually support the full cosmic model in its entirety. Each one is attributed to each fold of the universe's evolution, spreading further and developing more with each cycle. This subject also has an effect on the full-scale equilibrium of the universe. Without these paradox events in place, the universe's evolution through time would fold in on itself as the mass polarity of existences, beginning and end, would intertwine and fuse together, and all that is would become meshed into all that was and all that has yet to be. Such as the inflation paradox that I fixed not too long ago. This paradox, by simulated models, show the outcome of the universe to end by the consistent expansion of matter until the very particles that bind the matter of every solid object stretches so far apart from each other that no matter will form, and the universe basically stretches into non-existence. Now this is a solid concern. That is if, however, the universe was truly infinite space without boundaries, which would also imply that there was no beginning and that space itself has always existed, and it's just matter that suddenly came into being within it. That is not how things began. So once again I shall expand upon this subject from the beginning. It is better I learned it when I lived as the one they call Buddha, to look towards everything that is around you for evidence to explain what goes on and what are the laws of the stellar universe, for we are but byproducts of the universe itself, and that is apparent by observing everything around us, every aspect of life and how it occurs here. The processes that connect every living thing and every geological event and everything that supports and causes it to occur is mirrored here on Earth, just as a smaller model principle. It all basically leads back to being a part of the Big Bang's chain of events in the larger scale model to opposing subatomic particles indifferent by their nonlinear structure rotate, merge and fuse to become one kinetically ionized photon gamma wave particle. As this was occurring, space slowly formed. A primordial void of single particle photons, an empty space of nothingness. As this single particle fusion continued, the primordial void became superheated by opposing magnetic polarized photon particles. This effect of electrical discharge began to build between reactive particles. Suddenly all the surrounding nonlinear particles that were pulled together within the primordial void had something to form within a backdraft-like effect occurred. Same as when you open a closed door to a room on fire, it expanded violently in every direction. The heat generated by this sudden expansion of particle fusion created the Higgs boson field in the aftermath that formed and fused eventually into the first stellar object that was the catalyst of the Big Bang event. So, from nothing came something made possible by the particles ejected at speeds exceeding the very fabrics of light itself, atomizing them by stripping every binding quality from it until the particles had nothing to bond with, and fully passing from something into the nothing beyond the material universe. into the primordial void, where all things cease to be. Now that is the basic format of the grand design, the template concept, if you will. However, the details of the more intricate aspects are patented and copyright protected. So, just as your social media monopolizes control over people's imagination and inspiration through these superficial rules that only apply if you believe they have the power to contain your imagination's potential with copyright infringement, then so too shall I retain full disclosure of any further details and simply remind you that if pushed further or squeezed, then you will have the pleasure of realizing another hidden secret that they try to cover up with this belief of divine perfection that reeks of vanity and another false manifested depiction of me. I'll defeat this symbolic image of opulent misrepresentation with truth to protect his creation and all that exists within it. When necessary, God will lie rather than risk everyone's life. Sometimes he gives you a version of the truth he knows will eliminate the threat by their own choice of action. Other times I explain the details everyone was not aware of to lead them towards understanding the error of their ways. All efforts to diffuse the problem as best as can be done. I can be certain of its truth right now as I say this. Here where I am now at this moment, I can look back and marvel at this project I have done here and say that even though I am only halfway done, it truly is the most magnificent thing to behold when you look at the entirety of it all. It truly is good.
Nomine Patris et Filius Spiritus Sancti. Omnipotentis Dei misericordiam Patris carissimi, supplices exoremus, ut sanctorum omnium intercessione promotus. Ecclesi sui vocem benignius exaudiat, pro Patre nostro. Padre benigno, those who are sick, those who are infested, those who are possessed, and those who are having strong temptation. Qui gravi necessitati premitur, Kyrie eleison, Christe eleison, Kyrie eleison, Sancta Maria Mater Dei, Sancti Michael et Gabriel et Raphael, omnis sancti angeli Dei, Sancti Elia, Sancti Ioannis Baptista, Sancti Iosef, omnis sancti patriarchae et prophetae.
Твой враг, мой враг, частный сектор наших вооруженных сил провоцирует ваши проблемы, они считают себя выше президента, это законы и это люди, их система искалечена, их способность скрывать слова сейчас они более разоблачены, чем когда-либо, находят их, освобождают нас и наносят верный удар, не навреди невиновным, или они являются структурой поддержки, пусть твоя цель будет верной, тот, кто страдал, как я страдал.
That's about all I have time for today, freaks and geeks. Tune in next time on your YouTube dial, if you've got one still, for more Twilight Zone shit from Hell Incorporated, the Good Hands people. Now a word from our sponsor. Do you have a pest problem that extends to more than just rodents? A nosy neighbor that is constantly looking for evidence to the meth lab in your basement, or his wife that constantly sneaks over to your house while he's at work? Well, don't turn pale and chew your nails, you sack of evolved monkey shit. The devil has the answer to your problems right here in our semi-patented, totally illegal, miniature atom smasher. Yes, it completely violates every single safety code as well as domestic and international laws of weaponized technology as set by the Geneva Convention. Eradicates mice, gophers, stray cats and most importantly neighbors, with such efficiency that it doesn't even make a mess that needs to be cleaned. Yes, you too can own the hazard that the Ghostbusters warned of if their energy streams ever crossed in a nice neat portable device that is fueled completely by non-environmentally safe, radioactive materials, that are not found on any common market. And if you get tired of using it, just literally toss it away and it becomes your own personal weapon of mass destruction, briefcase-sized atomic bomb. And it is available for the introductory price of your soul and a buttload of pay dirt. Act now. Limited supply available. Offer restricted to residents in North Korea, especially to customers answering to Kim Jong-un. Extra shipping fees added for residents of Russia and or Vladimir Putin. Offer only valid until this ad is traced by Interpol.